In a world where one girl can bend reality with a single emotion, in a world where one girl can make the entire world her love slaves, there are two girls who stand untouched. The entire village has bowed to Ada's feet. Their hearts, they have remained steady in the form of Sarada and Sumire. And now we finally know why these two teenage girls are immune. It's not because of a special jutsu. It's not because of a fancy bloodline. It's not because of secret training, but it's because of something far more powerful, something that even Ada herself has never had, something that Ada herself doesn't truly understand. And that is the theme of the current Boruto arc, which is true love. This is the official answer we've been waiting for, and it's going to completely reshape how you see Sarada, Sumire, and Boruto in that love triangle, as well as Ada herself. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video, where we take a look at the answer that Boruto illustrator Mikio Ikemoto has provided regarding why Sarada and Sumire are immune to Ada's charm power and omnipotence, as well as piece together other information that can be gleaned from a rereading of both Boruto mangas, Boruto Naruto Next Generations, and Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, that now, given this extra context, it explains everything now in terms of the subtle writing that Ikemoto was doing. For those of you guys who are curious about the source, Ikemoto did a Q&A to celebrate the 9th anniversary of Boruto being a monthly manga, and he dished out a lot of lore. So the next couple of videos here on the channel won't be the ones done by my editors, but instead they will be my editing, so we can cover everything that we got, because there was quite a bit of lore released in that Q&A that I want to weigh in on. And Sarada and Sumire fans, my wise man, if you know, you know, he talked me out of trolling on the thumbnail, so rejoice. Your OBC has gone professional, OBC being original Boruto chief. So put the ones up in the chat if you prefer the more serious tone on the thumbnails. Now, getting into information itself, the official revelation. For 2 years now, the fandom, it's been locked in heated debates. Why are Sarada and Sumire the only people that are immune to Ada's charm and omnipotence that you see inside of Konoha, notwithstanding people like Damon and Boruto and Kawaki, because Boruto and Kawaki are Otsuki, Damon is a blood relative of Ada, and etc. So the answer is revealed in the 9th anniversary Q&A. It's simple and it is emotionally profound. So Ikemoto's own words are, quote, "They are immune because they possess something Ada doesn't. They have someone they like and feelings of true love. Those genuine emotions serve as a sort of counterbalance to Ada's power," end quote. In other words, love beats control. Think about it for a second. Ada literally rewrote reality itself in omnipotence, and she did it more than once. The first time she did it, she was able to twist the minds and hearts of people in order to make them fall in love with her. They turned into tier 1 simps at the sight of her. And the second time she did it, she was able to rewrite memories themselves, except for the two people whose feelings they were too real to overwrite. And who were those feelings for? Boruto Uzumaki, a boy, a prodigy who had everything, and due to tragedy, because he was marked by fate, he is now at the center of a love triangle that just became one of the most poetic pieces of writing that we have in the entire Naruto franchise. Make no mistake, this is a love triangle here. I know that there's some gaslighting on both sides of the spectrum, which, again, for full transparency, I have to say this because I still have people that say that I choose sides on these pairings. I don't care who Boruto ends up with. I report everything as it comes up. If Sarada gets a revelation, she gets a revelation. If Sumire gets one, Sumire gets one. This is a love triangle. Sarada, Sumire, and Boruto. Let's break it all down. Sarada Uchiha. She is the heir to the Uchiha name. She is the girl who awakened her Mangekyo Sharingan after hearing about her idol Naruto's death, and then the trauma that was compounded by that, by hearing that Boruto was being blamed for the death of Naruto, and knowing that Boruto was being framed for everything, that Boruto was innocent, that everyone's memories of Boruto were altered. Sarada started crying over Boruto's exile, screaming that basically Boruto's innocent in so many ways, saying without saying she couldn't accept a future without him, and she was able to reawaken the Mangekyo Sharingan because she finally accepted those feelings of love. And the official promo material that we got, which I've covered in a whole other video, directly confirms that Sarada's feelings for Boruto were romantic. That's Sarada's piece. Then when you get to Sumire, she is the quiet Kunoichi who was the first to suspect Ada's power, realized what was going on when Omnipotence was casted, and she was one of the first people to stay at Boruto's side even as the world itself turned against him. And she has been openly thirsting after Boruto in the manga, which, as a reminder, the manga and anime are two different continuities. Both girls, they harbor feelings for Boruto, and now we know that those feelings, that's what ultimately saved them. And it goes a bit deeper, and it also makes you go back to Boruto Naruto Next Generations when Sumire is asking Sarada, does other girls liking Boruto trouble her? And now we know many years later it does trouble her, and because it did trouble her on a subconscious level, that was one of the things that ended up saving her. And it goes even deeper here. Now when you start looking at it in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex chapter 16, when Sumire was unintentionally gaslighting Sarada, telling her she wasn't thinking about her feelings when she jumped into Boruto's arms, hugging him in front of Sarada, which there's a whole cultural context behind hugging that I talk about in the video, was Sumire gaslighting Sarada. That was her in so many ways asking, you're not in love with Boruto, are you? Because that's not cool. You know I liked him too. It's the kind of manipulation that only a romantic rival would attempt, an attempt to suppress Sarada's emotions under the pretense of, I called dibs first, basically. Again, there's more to it, but I'm not going to repeat those talking points from that other video. I'll just leave it linked in the description box for you. Now, for Sarada's heart, that's something that couldn't be stopped. The signs were there and they just got louder, and by chapter 21, she's basically admitting it out loud by saying that she's finally accepted her feelings. And again, in the Japanese version, when Ryu hears all this, Ryu calls her an emo girl who is obsessed with her love life. Again, the English translation, Japanese English, they do not translate verbatim. Words in Japanese and expressions in Japanese don't necessarily translate well in English. It's up to the discretion of the translator try to best convey what is being said. That moment that we had with Sarada, it wasn't just character development. It also proves that her immunity was earned through sincerity, just as Sumire's immunity was earned through sincerity. And yet we don't know who Boruto has feelings for. That's the tension, that's the uncertainty, the very core of the love triangle. Sarada and Sumire both love Boruto, but who does Boruto love? Obviously, we're not going to find that out for a very long time, and for a really good reason. At the end of the day, this is a battle shonen. There are battle shonen that are able to handle writing a subplot of romance very well. Bleach did a very good job of that, not being able to distract from the overall story while also building a very subtle storytelling. You can tell who the main ships were going to be by the end of the manga if you pay close attention. There was development there. Same with my favorite manga of all time, Rurouni Kenshin, but that was a little bit more in your face with how it handled romantic pairings, but everything was crystal clear once you got to the second major arc of the story. I say that to say this, it can be done, and I think Boruto, the way that Ikemoto is handling everything, it's walking a very fine line, and it hasn't dabbled too far one way or the other. Now, it gets even deeper when you look at the psychological and the symbolic layer to the writing itself. There's something truly beautiful and a little bit tragic about Ada's power, given everything that we know based off what's written in the manga and now Ikemoto's own words. She longs for love, yet it only inspires obsession. She desires connection, yet her powers, they push people to worship her, not necessarily to know her. When Sarada and Sumire were resisting her, it wasn't just shocking, it was a mirror that Ada couldn't really look away from. And when you look at her words in chapter 1 of 2 Blue Vortex, it's kind of implied that she already knows that Sarada and Sumire are immune to her powers and that she might understand why. She has taken a keen interest in that love triangle. But I also think that she does want a genuine friendship with Sarada and Sumire. And as I said, when that chapter came out, Damon was clocking Sarada and Sumire. So there is something there. But getting back to it though, these girls, they ultimately had something she didn't. Something her charm and omnipotence could never truly force. Real relationships that are built through pain, growth, understanding, and longing. It's no accident that Ada sought them out specifically as friends. Think about it for a second. She was sitting in that tube watching all this stuff going on, and she specifically singled out Sarada and Sumire as people that she wanted to speak to when she got to Konoha. She directly said, "Bring me Sumire and bring me Sarada." They're younger, they're different, and they're emotionally untouched by her divine influence. In a strange way, you could even argue she might have wanted them to be immune, and that was something that I originally theorized. So the reason behind that is so she wouldn't be alone. Sarada and Sumire, they became a form of emotional salvation for Ada's character, who otherwise only knows hollow admiration. That's why she was drawn to them, not as pawns, but as possible equals. Perhaps they could be people she could finally connect with, if only for a moment. That's why she wanted that alone time with them in that chapter where they're all hugging pillows and etc. And then Ada gets this sad look on her face when she realizes that they're affected by her power, or at least she thought that they were affected by her power. But Sarada dropped that line in there in the same chapter where Shikamaru is saying, "You guys are going to have to kill Ada." Sarada offered the friendship. That's going to happen. I've been very firm in my belief. We're not going to see Sarada versus Ada or Sumire versus Ada. If it ever happens, it's going to resolve quickly because they're going to be friends. That's on the wall there. That's writing on the wall. Now, when it gets to the Otsutsuki factor and the limits on omnipotence, you have to look at this by going into the deeper mechanics. Why might Sarada and Sumire's love for Boruto specifically protect them from Ada's power? After all, Shikamaru loves Temari. Sai loves Ino. They're in love, so why weren't they spared? I think that it goes back to the fact that Boruto isn't just a shinobi. He isn't just human. He is technically, biologically, 100% Otsutsuki. Momoshiki tells us this. That means that the girls' hearts, they're tied to someone who is beyond Ada's influence, which might be why she couldn't rewrite it. She couldn't rewrite how they see them, how their hearts see Boruto, because she can't understand that level of attachment, both in terms of love to another human being, but most importantly to another Otsutsuki. That makes Sarada and Sumire anomalies that are nodes in her reality. They're anomalies in the sense they have romantic love for an Otsutsuki. Ada basically built a new royal, but these two girls, they refused to forget the boy who they loved. That's not just emotional, that is cosmic level resistance. Love in the Naruto universe, it's always been powerful. That's when people complain that love is a subplot in this current arc that's going on. Love has always been part of the Naruto story. If you don't think so, I strongly recommend rereading the manga and paying closer attention. It wasn't in your face, but it was always there. But here, love has basically broken omnipotence, and that also comes down to the next thing here. We have to look at the future of this love triangle. What's going to come next? Now that the truth is happening, where does the story go from here? Well, let's look at what we have right now. Sarada's love, it is canon. Sumire's love, it is canon. And what about Ada, the girl who longs for love? Well, she's caught somewhere between being a goddess and being a lonely teenage girl, a 19-year-old girl who just wants friends and romance. And you could even argue she's jealous of the girls who are 4 years younger than her. What makes this love triangle compelling is that it is organic. It's built on mutual respect. Now we know that those lingering glances, they meant something. The subtle words, the unintentional gaslighting, and now the cosmic immunity. Everything has lined up for this to be done in a very well executed way. The only question now is, will Boruto return those feelings? Will Boruto end up with Ada? Hey, if it's me, I'm picking violence. Boruto x Ada. I wanted that from the beginning just to see the Sarada and Sumire fans completely crash out. For real though, who will Boruto choose between them? Or will he walk his own path, shaped by Otsutsuki karma and a destiny that's greater than himself that will end up pulling him away from love entirely? That is also possible. One thing's for sure, the girl that wins Boruto's heart, it won't just be his partner. She'll be the one who stood tall over all of this, even when the world itself was rewritten. And in the end, that might be the strongest power of them all. Is Sarada the one destined for Boruto's heart? Is Sumire the one destined for Boruto's heart? Is it Ada? Is it even Chocho? Could it be Mitsuki? How will Ada react when she realizes that these girls are officially not affected by her powers? Again, we can argue that she suspects it, but she hasn't gotten direct confirmation yet. That could be coming. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out more videos from Naruto Explained by clicking here on the left, or click here on the right to check out videos from my other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content.